politics, and I can say this is the first time I've ever been asked to use a megaphone. Okay, so we've just heard a bunch about the Harper government's war on the environment and on environmentalists. I'm going to talk to you about something related. I want to talk to you about Stephen Harper's war on science and on reason. In fact, it was Budget 2011 that first began dismantling our ability to monitor and protect our environment. I've been following what's been going on at Environment Canada since last spring. Now, last spring we saw the first ever ozone hole in the Canadian Arctic. They've been occurring for years in Antarctica, but never before had we seen one in our own Arctic. And yet there it was, the very first ozone hole above Canada's north. What was the Harper government's response? Well, first they cancelled Canada's ozone science program. Not a word of a lie there. They cancelled the ozone science group. They got rid of the ozone science group. And what's more, they muzzled the scientists who were involved in the discovery. Absolutely, very, very shameful behavior. Countless other groups at Environment Canada have since been eliminated. Now, Environment Canada is a very, very important organization to us all. Environment Canada is tasked with protecting our environment and with protecting the health and safety of Canadians. We depend upon the monitoring activities that they pursue in order to keep our water clean, in order to keep our air breathable, in order to maintain important things like the ozone layer, and also to understand what's happening with climate change and how we're going to adapt to it. Yet many, many different groups involved in that have been eliminated. Some of the interesting ones you might want to know. Here in Nova Scotia, some very important mercury monitoring research was discontinued. Now, why do we care about mercury? Well, anytime you burn coal, it launches mercury into the air, and everywhere in the northeast US and also in Canada that's burning coal, and there's a lot of it, is raining out mercury on you and I. We need to be able to track these things in order to preserve our own health. Other groups that are important that got eliminated in the last budget and this current one include our aircraft group. Now, what the aircraft group at Environment Canada does is they study icing on aircraft wings. Anytime there's a crash of an airplane, they look at it very closely to see if they can understand what's going on. Well, we'll see how comfortable you are next time getting into an aircraft knowing that this group is no longer looking over this important aspect. There are many other groups as well. The Climate Adaptation Group. Why, when this government talks about climate adaptation, are we getting rid of Environment Canada's Climate Adaptation Group, where climate change is the single most important issue we are facing as a society today? Budget 2012 furthers the war on science. We're getting rid of the National Roundtable. We've got deep cuts to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. Now, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, we hear a lot about fish habitat and about how the fish habitat protections are being eliminated. What you need to know is those fish habitat protections are also what keep your water clean and safe. Okay? It turns out legislatively it's a lot easier to protect fish than humans. Go figure. But that is what is keeping you safe. This is now being eliminated by this budget bill. I could go on and on and on about the different cuts to science in Canada because they're both occurring at government organizations but also at our universities as well. But it's important for us to understand that science is really very, very important. I would ask, how could a nation as rich as Canada be dismantling scientific capabilities that are needed, that are essential for our own health and safety? The fact that we need to sacrifice so much for the sake of the economy is a myth perpetrated by the Prime Minister himself. A sound economy cannot exist without a healthy environment. What's more, this Prime Minister's handling of the economy has been an abject disaster. During the economic crisis of 2008, he was secretly bailing out banks to the tune of $114 billion, while at the same time, those very banks were raking in enormous profits.
That's true.
It's a matter of choice, and we should all imagine what that money could have been used for. Furthermore, if our economy is truly in danger, then eliminating science is not the way out of it. Science is how we objectively identify the truth. It underlines the principle of evidence-based decision-making. Sound policy is informed by science. So why is Stephen Harper making this assault on science? Clearly, he wants to base policy on something else.
Right, that's right.
Ignorance!
Well, where do we go from here? This is the environmental century. There are many threats, including climate change and toxic contamination of our water supplies. We're either going to learn how to live in harmony with our environment now, or have it be our undoing. Look at how the world has changed in the past 100 years, and imagine what a Stephen Harper Canada would look like 100 years from now. So what can we do? Well, look, I'm a professor. I've got to pull out a quote from Plato here. All right? This has been known for 2,000 years, or more, sorry. Many more. I'm not a historian. Thousands of years. Plato said this: the price good people pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. The first step is to get informed. And there are lots of different ways of getting informed. There are groups like Project Democracy. You can find them on the internet. Okay? Have a look at Project Democracy. There are groups like Save Environment Canada that report on cuts to Environment Canada and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. Look at these groups and others to get yourselves informed about what the government is doing. We should also get active. There are lots of different groups now getting active, trying to bring attention to what's going on. There are groups obviously like Leadnow. There are groups on Facebook like Stop the Budget. That one's pretty easy to remember. Have a look at them.
Occupy!
There are many groups. Let's get informed. Let's get active. Let's engage with our politicians. I can tell you that many of the politicians, they're good people who want to do the right thing. We need to help them. Furthermore, and last but not least, what you can do is engage with your family, engage with your friends, engage with your colleagues, and explain to them why this is so important, and let's together save Canada. Thank you.
Hey folks, my name's Robin. I'm part of a group called Power Shift Canada, and we're trying to build a youth movement for a collective climate movement where we can really solve climate change and all sorts of social issues at the same time. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the budget. I'm also really mad